Mabuhay! We are Philippine Expressions Bookshop, dedicated to Filipino Americans in search of their roots. Philippine Expressions Bookshop was established in 1984 to provide a home for Philippine writings in America, as well as books written by Filipino Americans. The bookshop promotes books written in English and other Philippine languages on all aspects of Philippine culture for all ages. Now on its 36th year in Los Angeles, the bookshop blazed the trail and opened new doors to make Fil-Am writers more visible in the mainstream literary scene. It is the first Filipino-American bookshop on American soil, and it was inspired by a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson: "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." It is located in the Downtown Arts District of San Pedro, California, where the bookshop hosts literary soirees such as publication and meet the author parties, book talks, lectures on Philippine culture by visiting Filipino scholars, and poetry readings throughout the year. These community outreach programs are offered free to the public. Every year during National Women's History Month in March, they sponsor a Pinay gathering to introduce and highlight the works of Pinay authors in the community. During the year, they also have specific programs to highlight National Poetry Month in April, Asian Pacific American Heritage Month in May, with focus on children, and Filipino American History Month in October. In the words of owner and trailblazer Linda Nieves Little, the bookshop is a marriage between culture and business. All around the bookshop and its affiliate, Pintados Art Gallery, Philippine cultural artifacts are displayed to familiarize Americans of Filipino ancestry with the culture of their ancestors. Yes, they sell culture. They also sell books. Tonight, Philippine Expressions Bookshop continues the celebration of Women's History Month with Filipino Food Connections, featuring self-taught Pinay chefs whose longing for the taste of home led them to enhance their creativity and talent in the kitchen, which opened new opportunities for them in the culinary world. They will talk about one's emotional connection to food, the memories they rouse, and the recipes that bring them back to life. But before then, some welcome remarks from founder of Philippine Expressions Bookshop, Linda Nieves Little.
Welcome. I'm Linda Nieves Little, founder of Philippine Expressions Bookshop. Welcome to our virtual celebration of National Women's History Month. Tonight, we are happy to present, in collaboration with Fil-Am Arts, our second Pinay Gathering series entitled Filipino Food Connections. And now, our host, Nicole Ponseca, author of I Am a Filipino, and This Is How We Cook. Nicole?
How's everyone doing? Happy Friday. I am Nicole Ponseca, and I'm the owner of Jeepney Filipino Gastro Club in New York City. And I'm currently in Miami, where I've just recently opened a new outpost called Jeepney Barbecue and Panciteria. And, I'm so excited to be here. And how cute is Tita Linda? Can we just give props to Tita Linda for being a trailblazer? When I was growing up, I had very little resources and exposure to my culture outside of my parents. And knowing that Tita Linda created Philippine Expressions Cookbook, I think she said 34 years ago, is mind-boggling to me that her efforts in LA, in the LA area, and who knows how far her legacy spreads, has created a home, a sense of pride and culture for Filipinos to learn more about Filipino authors and have a source of pride, especially when it wasn't cool or popular or commercialized. I feel very honored to be here to host this episode and to be part of Tita Linda's journey and her expression. I have also written a book. As she mentioned, I wrote the cookbook, I Am a Filipino, and This Is How We Cook. And I know what it takes firsthand to conceive an idea, to produce it, to write it, and to see it to its execution and fruition. And so how fortunate are we that we get to speak with two authors, not one, but two Filipina authors who have documented their journey as women, as Filipinas, and what ties us together as well is their journey as cooks, chefs, cocineras, however you want to call it. Smells good and it tastes good to me. So today's show, we're going to talk to Malou Nievera. I asked how to pronounce their names before. Malou Nievera. Hi, Malou.
Nicole, how are you?
Good. And when I was asking you how to pronounce your last name, you said, just think Martin Nievera. And that was spot on.
And you said something. He's your first crush.
Okay, so it was a toss-up between Martin Nievera or, can you guess who was my second crush?
Gary V?
Oh, no, I was, before, I think either before or after my time, but Richard
Gomez.
In fact, I had a poster of him in my bedroom from a bench wearing a Speedo, and that didn't last long. My dad came right in and tore that poster right up.
He has a YouTube cooking show, and my dream is to cook with him someday. So anyone out there, I want to cook with Richard Gomez.
There, it's done. It's in the universe. Consider it done.
Okay.
Well, okay, we're going to talk to you, and then we're also going to get to talk to Dalena, and then she's going to do a demo. So I just wanted to give a teaser to your followers out there. Yes, Malou is going to be on the show. We're going to talk to her about her book. We're going to talk about her papa. We're going to talk about perhaps her favorite recipe from the book, maybe some recipes that were left out. And what is ibanab? We're going to talk about that. So thank you. Sit tight. We're going to go to Dalena. Then we're going to come back to you, and then we're going to do the ube demo, and hopefully we're going to answer some questions. So this is all three of us. Wow, I feel like a Charlie's Angel. This is so dope. Okay, Jack, that was my request. Who of the Charlie's Angels would you have been? Any? Do you guys remember?
No.
No.
Any of them.
You're your angel. There you go. So we're going to come back to you. Give us like 10 minutes. We're going to give a chat to Dalena, and we're going to come back to you, and we're going to get deep with you in your book. Is that cool? Does that sound good to you, Malou? Yeah?
Yep. Cool.
Okay, we'll be right back. You look great, by the way. I like your necklace.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
It's from my mom, my good luck charm.
Oh, there. See, we're going to talk about that too. And your makeup is fabulous.
From
Okay, so we're going to come back to you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. If we can get Dalena on screen, we're going to talk to Dalena a little bit now. We're going to come back to Malou. There she is. Hi, Dalena.
Hi.
Okay, so we're gonna do rapid fire of stats, and then we're gonna get into the book.
I'm ready.
Dalena is half Filipina.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom is Filipina. Her dad is American. Where are you? Where are you calling from? What's your favorite Filipino dish? And what made you write your book?
I'm in Orange County, California right now. My favorite Filipino dish is adobo.
Okay.
And what made me write my book, was that the question?
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to know why I have a Southern accent and why I'm Filipino and why those are together in one person.
There you go. I love your accent. I don't know if I've ever met anyone, any Pinay or Pinoy for that matter, with a Southern accent.
Yeah.
I love hearing Filipinos with British accents, and now you're my second, or maybe my first favorite accent now. So,
oh, thank you.
where did you grow up that you have this accent? You have this accent. I'm not going to do it. I'm not
You
embarrassed.
can do it. You can. It. You know what? When I end up talking to people, it brings it out in them. You know,
Yeah.
they start having a little bit of a Southern accent too. So I'm from Northwest Tennessee. I was born and raised in Northwest Tennessee. I was born in Union City, but I lived in Troy, which is even smaller than Union City. So Troy is around 1,000 people. No fast food, no stoplight, a couple of stop signs, Dollar General store. We really were out there. Like, you know, it's a really small town in the Bible Belt in Tennessee.
Wow. When you say that, so many questions come up. I'm thinking about what it must have been like for you. Um, there's so many funny moments in your book. So let's give some frame of reference for the audience, because a lot of people are here and know you, sure, but then there's a whole host of people that don't know you and haven't heard of your book yet. And so this is an opportunity. So this is the book. I don't know if you can see it. Asian Girl in a Southern World. I love the title. How provocative. Right? And I don't want to do it disjustice. I'm going to take a moment to do a brief intro, and then I'd love for you to expand on it.
Okay.
So this is a book that reveals Dalena's creativity, and it shows no bounds. She is a poet. She is a prolific writer. And when we say the words prolific, it's because the words come bigger than life. And I really have a sense of who this character is in the book, because I almost feel you could be a fiction writer. That the way that you phrased words and captivated me and depicted scenes, it felt like you could be a writer. And she also happens to be a cook. And the first recipe is hysterical to me. It's meatballs with an average white sauce. So clearly, I really enjoyed your book, and I'm happy to have you here and to be here with you. Now, I don't know if I did you justice, but how would you describe your book?
I think you did it justice. I mean, way beyond justice. What a compliment, too, especially coming from, you know, who has such a rich history in bringing Filipino food to the forefront of our culture. That means so much to me. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I wanted something that really provided really strong visuals to the reader about what it would be like to be in a situation where you were the only one. And my situation happens to be being Filipino in the South. But you know, someone else could relate to that book for other reasons. You know, we've all felt like we were the only one in some situation. And so I think that that's one of the reasons it's garnered such a following, is because even though there aren't a whole lot of Asians in the South with Southern accents, people read it and go, whoa, I connect to that. I connect to that story, even though it's so different. And I think that for me, that's one of the things I'm most proud about, is that I was able to tell a story that honors my mom's culture and heritage, also my dad's in the South, explain some of the emotions that I went through as a child in that situation, but then finding a connection to people in a completely different scenario who say, hey, I feel very tied to this story for my own reasons. To me, that's the biggest achievement out of everything.
Yeah, and you did it with flying colors. Okay, so if you're watching this and you don't know of Dalena, and can you say your last name, because I didn't get to, how do
Sure.
you
Yeah, Benavente.
Benavente? What a fabulous last name, Benavente. So for those who don't know Dalena, if you're not yet a fan, you will be after this show and after getting this book. Dalena, she talks about her experience from even just being born, and being born in this small town and in Tennessee. And I think the population at the time was 586, is what I remember. And when you were born, the nurses came around and it was easy to spot you because you were the only Asian with black hair, but they came literally to check you out.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is such a different experience than my own in how you dealt with being different.
Mhm.
When I was growing up, and sometimes it hits me today, I'm very shy. And despite having a loud mouth and being comfortable, my inside is to shrink and to be smaller sometimes. People might be surprised to know that, but when you wrote about your experience in the lunchroom, and most Asians have their own lunchroom story, I was shocked at the bravado in which you wrote about opening your lunchbox and saying, almost teasing them like, this is what I got today. Where do you think that kind of confidence came from? It's not a middle finger New York confidence, an F you, but
Yeah.
it's shy and it's loaded with confidence. Where do you think you got that? I want to know. I'm 40 years later. I'm like, I want to learn from you. Where does that come from?
So I would say two things. First of all, a reoccurring phrase I always heard growing up. My parents would always say, "You're so strong." So they saw something in me too before I even, we sometimes we want to build characteristics up in ourselves, but ever since I was little, my parents said I was strong. So they saw it already. It was there.
Wow.
So, and I think them telling me I was strong reinforced that. It reinforced that I was strong, so I believed it. But in that moment, it was innocence. There was a lot of bravado there, and like you said, it wasn't that New Yorker kind of bravado. You know what it came from? I had had peanut butter and jelly before. I had had turkey and cheese sandwiches before. I had had what they were eating before, and I knew my lunch was better than theirs.
Oh.
So it was very innocent, even though in the moment I was very bold about it.
Yeah.
I think it came from something very, very innocent in that moment. It wasn't to insult. It was, I'm proud of this because, when I go home and I have the option of having a turkey and cheese sandwich or peanut butter and jelly or pancit and rice and leftover, whatever it might be, correct, afrittata, whatever. I always preferred that. And so I just had a lot of confidence that mine was good.
It's still mind-boggling to me because I have to tell you, by and large, you're from Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Ghana. I don't care. Every person I've spoken to who has the American lunchbox story talks about it shrinking, throwing it away, eating it in the corner, which was me, or not wanting to open the Tupperware, where everyone else is opening a Ziploc baggie for crying out loud, and I have a leftover Cool Whip Tupperware, and it has rice and adobo, and like just the opening, I was like, oh God, I'm gonna know I'm having lunch now, like it's so mortified. But you're a different breed. You're a different category, Dalena. Thank you for sharing that. I think when we read stories of people who have that level of confidence, it opens the door for others.
Yeah.
And that's monumental, especially what's going on right now in America and Asia. And we said we weren't going to get too political, but it would be a missed opportunity, Asian to Asian, Pinay to Pinay. I don't care if you're third, eighth, fourth, fifth, whatever it is. If it's within you, we are sisters.
Yeah.
And so, without hammering it too deep, because we don't have an hour show and it's not meant to be a political show.
Sure.
But food is politics. So how would you describe what Asian representation means for you? Growing up in a small town, you're the only one as far as the I can see, and your confidence. So what do you think Asian representation means for you?
For me, it means opportunity. I always try to frame anything in a positive light. I try, and sometimes it's really hard. That's why there's so much going on in our world right now. We're all trying to figure out what is that perspective that we can look at this and continue on in positivity and really feel like we're still doing the work, the real work. And for me, with everything that's going on right now, I know that the sort of the involuntary reaction would be to go negative. But if you just think about your day-to-day life and not get overwhelmed with the whole picture, just think about who you come in contact with on a day-to-day situation. You might not be getting a whole lot of that, but there's an opportunity there because of what's happening in the world right now to bring a dish, to explain who you are, to let them know, if they ask how it's affecting you. But really more, I think, to shine a light on your culture, because a lot of this hate comes through a lack of education, and it comes through a poor character of the heart. It's not what's happening to anybody being race is not a reflection of that race. It's a reflection of the person that is enacting that violence. It's a reflection of them, not the receiver. If we're the receiver and we want to go forward with some positivity, for me, the only way to look at it is as an opportunity to teach people about the truth, who I really am, what I'm really about, who Filipinos really are, what we really stand for, to counteract future instances of that. That's the way I can educate. It might just be my neighbor. That's okay. It might
okay. That's okay.
It's okay. That's okay. We don't all have to have a huge platform where we're screaming from the mountaintops about how great we are. Really, those day-to-day interactions where we can have positive influences, that's really what changes the whole world. If we all did that is instant global change. If we all just took responsibility over our own spaces, all of us did that, it's instant global change. So I really try to get it down to a day-to-day interaction. What does this mean to me? It's an opportunity to teach people about who I am and why I love who I am and where I come from. That's it.
So we're going to go for a couple more minutes, and then we're going to switch to Malou. When I've been in your shoes, in an interview, sometimes I leave the interview and I'm like, God damn, I wish I could have talked about it. Is there anything that we haven't talked about? I know it's like a 10-minute segment between us, but is there something that you want the people that already know you or who don't know you that you want to be able to express? Because this will live on, right? It's a video. So, although we're live now, but what is it that you'd love people to know about you or the book?
I think what I would want to say is really just to give an exhortation to anybody who's watching this right now, that to remember that the people that you're interacting with, they're humans. They're humans just like you. And we never know what everybody else is going through. We never do. And we all have a story. Oh, you can't hear?
No, it just wasn't as clear, and I feel like what you're saying is important, so I don't want to miss a beat. So
yeah, I'm going to lean in just a little bit more. So I think what I would encourage people to remember, especially in this age of digital media, is don't forget the human to human interaction. We're still dealing with people here. We're dealing with people and people's hearts. And if you want a story to read that resonates with you and reminds you about why to be human and how to be human, my book is a story that might relate to you. I think that's what I would say.
I love that. So final anecdote in this book, and then we're going to move over to Malou. One of the things I loved in your stories was an anecdote about Billy. Oh, yeah. Yes, wine, Malou. Yes, wine.
Cheers.
Too, but I thought maybe I should.
Right when the camera is really drinking.
Tequila. So
great timing, guys. No warning whatsoever. Here we go.
So
Here's.
for Dalena, you had a character named Billy. I say character because I feel like it's a film or a book. So Billy was a bully, Billy the bully in her school.
Yeah.
And always like, God, just shut up. You just have to have the
Yeah.
final word or be mean. You know what Dalena did when this guy was bullying her about the food, about glass noodles? And you were so bright in fourth grade to turn around the bulliness.
Oh, yeah.
She basically was like, oh, word. She did some Jedi mind game on this bully. And
I was gonna say that's a Filipino Jedi right there.
that is a Tita move. Titas have the moves.
Exactly.
40 that I realized the brilliance of a Tita. Yo, that is
Yeah.
so for the watchers out there was a bully named Billy who was making fun of her school lunch once again, and she turned it around and said, oh yeah, basically Billy eats this all the time. It's like, yeah, right, he eats caterpillar noodles. And he was like, what the hell. The level of self-respect that you have at such a young age is just this is a book for multiple ages and for multiple races, and it's about self-respect. So congratulations.
Thank you.
In the Southern world. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to pour my wine now.
Yes.
And let them
Yes.
see.
Okay. Well, we'll see you soon. Stick around, guys. Please don't go anywhere. Lena's going to show us how to make ube ice cream, which who knew you can make that at home, right? And if you want a spiritual experience making your next halo halo, please stick around because she's going to show you how to make ube ice cream and you'll never have the same halo halo. So that's bye, Dalena. Shortly, thank you. And we're going to skip to Malou.
Yes, you're skipping back to Malou.
Formerly the Imposter Diva. Was that what was your original blog?
Yeah, it's Impromptu Diva.
Impromptu.
Yeah, I'm the Miss Impromptu. Like, call me and tell me that you're coming here in 15 minutes. Party's on. So, so yeah, that's how I started my blog. It's actually how I improvise and come up with something looking fancy, but in reality, it's just my leftover food. So I make like adobo wraps, and that's my leftover adobo. So it's something like that. So and then I went into Skip to Malou
Yeah.
because it was suggested by one of my friends. Because I before when I was like fresh off the boat, people can pronounce my name, right? So I would say I'm Malou, like Skip to Malou, and it depends on the age though. Like if they're elder, they would say, "Oh, I know that song," so they would know me. So right away, there's something that connects me to them. So
Yeah.
skip to Milu, and then they would ask, "Are you from Hawaii?" No, another island in the Pacific Island.
Okay, so it was the song. It was "Skip to Malou, my darling," right?
Exactly. So you're in that age group. Just
Wait,
kidding.
so how did it go? Skip to Malou.
Skip. Ah, 1, 2, skip to Maloo. 1, 2, skip to Maloo. Na, 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 and skip to Maloo, my darling.
Awesome.
So yeah, but
So
it's actually skip to Myloo.
yeah,
And then I stuck on that name, and then my brother, who is a marketing person in Manila, said it does not connect to food at all. So and that's why I put the byline there that says cooking with a Filipino accent. Because to tell you honestly, when I started my YouTube videos, I was so conscious about my accent. And one of my friends who encouraged me to do it said, embrace it. It's
love it.
cute.
It
And
is so cute.
and
Cute.
I think I grew to love it, and I built my confidence on it and embraced my accent because this is how I am. So it's Skip to Malou cooking with a Filipino accent. So
I
that's
love
how it
it.
is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just like we did with Dalena, we're going to do a speed round with you. We're going to change
Yeah.
it up for you. And this is
Okay.
this
I'm
is
ready for you.
and it's going to be a greeting to the people that already love you and a formal introduction for those who have yet to love you. So
Okay.
your name is Malou Nievera, named similar to my favorite male actor, performer in the Philippines. Where are you now? Where are you from originally?
Okay.
What is your favorite Filipino food?
Mm-hmm.
Keep it easy. And let's see, for you, what is your favorite memory of your siblings? Because you're one of six
Right.
siblings.
You
Okay,
read my book.
okay. So
O-
where are you from? Favorite Filipino food and one of your favorite memories of one of your siblings.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole, for making it easy for me talking about myself. So, I'm Malou Nievera, and I'm from originally from Tuguegarao. I was born and raised there, and then moved to Manila where I went to school. I'm now in St. Louis, and I've been here for the past 10 years now. But originally, I moved around across the US. So from New York, we moved to Melbourne, and Melbourne to San Diego, and then St. Louis. So, what is my favorite food? It is an Ibanag food, I would say, and that is the first recipe that I introduced in my book, basically because it reminds me that bowl of lomo lomo is a bowl full of memories with my dad, and I cry every time I talk about my dad. But yes, that's my favorite food because it always takes me back home. Nicole, your first question and you make me cry.
Oh, well, I think it's a measure not of me or my question, but perhaps the level of authenticity that you live in the world that you can tap into so quickly. And I understand that completely.
I have
And
to drink to that.
yeah, cheers to that. And the
Yes.
final question was, what's your favorite memory of one or all of your siblings?
Okay. This is very sensitive because one of my brothers just died on my birthday last year.
Okay.
So I think the greatest memory that I have was my sister just showed a picture of our complete family that was taken in 2007. My sister and I went home for my dad's 77th birthday, and we took a family picture after 7 years because my sister lives in Orlando and I live here, and my brother is in Manila, and everyone's just busy. And that was the first time in 7 years that we were together. And while taking a picture, we were saying, my dad was saying, I hope this is not the last one, but it was. That was the last family picture. But we celebrated with a lot of food because it was my dad's birthday. Um, my dad's birthday usually starts early in the morning, where there's a tradition in in our province or in our culture as people from the north. We call it manyanita, and people serenade you on your birthday. And my dad always is being serenaded by his friends and um, from all his civic organizations. And then it starts with a big vat of sinanta. Sinanta is basically a two noodle dish composed of the vermicelli and also the ladit that they call, which is actually an egg noodle. So it's a two noodle, and my mom would start, our cucinera would cook a big vat of sinanta early in the morning, because that's when the Manyanita singers would come and sing happy birthday to my dad. And then my dad every year would look surprised that his friends are around. But lo and behold, a big vat of simmering sinanta is being cooked in our kitchen, but he looked surprised. So it starts during that morning, and then it goes by lunch, and then because my dad is a lawyer and he's a politician, so people would come give live goats, pigs, chickens, and you know, it's so provincial, and they bring in all good stuff for my dad's birthday. And then at night, there's a big party where all these live goats and pigs are being served. And yeah, that's how I remember that 77th birthday of my dad, as it was the last.
So that was one of your favorite memories of all your siblings because it was the last together.
Yes,
Your
yes.
father passed away at the age of 77.
No, that was the last that we were together, but no, he died 10 years ago. He was 79 when he died. He died 2 years after, but that was the last that we were complete as a family. Yeah, because yeah, my sister just reminded me of that because she sent a picture. Oh, this was our last family portrait, and yeah, we were all wearing white and khakis, and
Nice.
yeah, so
Well, my father passed away in December of COVID at the age of 77.
oh, I'm
So
sorry.
yeah, it's so I feel you. The connection to my dad is the connection I have with food, and if we could tie it to your book, it's here. This is the cover. What a lovely cover! It's called "Connecting the Pots."
Thank you.
And as I did with Dalena, I'd like to, give a brief introduction of how I took away from the book. And I have probably, I'm going to brag a little bit for myself here. I probably have one of the largest collections of Filipino cookbooks that I amassed over the years in writing mine. And I found yours very educational for me. There were a lot of dishes, even despite all the cookbooks that I have and the travels, there was quite a few recipes and titles and anecdotes that I had never heard of. And I want to thank you for that and committing to having the idea, writing it, executing it, and having it. And I understand in St. Louis you have a wonderful basement with these books. And
Don't remind me of that. It gives me an anxiety attack.
so I want to make measure because when we hit back to Dalena, we'll do the same thing. But for you, for anyone out there that doesn't have your book, how can they buy your book?
It's available on Amazon,
Okay.
actually. Yeah. And also, they could, if they want a personalized dedication from moi, they could order it from skip to Malou. Hold on. Shop.skip2malou.net.
Okay. So SHOP dot
Dot
skip
skip to
Malou
dot net.
dot net. So skip SKIP to TO Malou MALOU dot net.
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 Yes.
I want to
Yes.
make sure because you put all the effort here, and now we have to make sure that the world knows your book and how to get it because it is a very special book. As I mentioned when we did the introduction for Dylan, I want to do an appropriate one for you. What I liked about your book is the level of education, Senanta, Lomo Lomo, your references to your father, your family is such a big part of who you are. And I think probably now is also a good time to list your children. How many children do you have?
I have three children, and in fact, today that's why we're drinking and celebrating is because we just came from my daughter's matching. she was matched to an OBGYN program in Kalamazoo.
Wow.
So yeah, we are celebrating. We just got back like an hour ago from her school in Mizzou in Columbia, and we're celebrating the matching of her residency program. So she's actually here.
Can
Cheers,
we
Isabel.
can we say hello? Who is she? Let's get her on camera.
She's shy.
Come on,
She's
support
come
your
on,
mom.
Isabel. Just say hi. She's actually eating right now.
Well,
But
everyone
yeah,
she's with, we'd love to see her and wish her a congratulations. Is she
yeah,
gonna
okay. Yeah, she's here. She's
say
gonna say hi.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, come and say hello.
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 Yeah.
Congratulations to your match.
They used to call her my mini me,
I
but
look exactly like her.
You look like your mom.
I
My
am basically her carbon copy, yes.
but she's my mom always say that she's the better version of me.
what I find really interesting is, Malou, you don't look old enough to have a daughter this age. What's
um my
going on here?
husband would say that he really took care of me.
I think that's my cue to exit.
Well, once again, congratulations to you on your matching and
Thank
all the
you.
work that you did consistently to get to this point. And best of luck to you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Nicole. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, 4 years of med school is over.
That's daughter one. Who's the other two?
Oh, okay. That's actually my daughter too. My daughter one just got married in September last year. Hi,
Wow.
Nicole. Her name is Nicole. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
Her name's Heather Nicole, and she is from originally from San Francisco for 13 years, and she moved closer to mom. She's
Okay.
now in Nashville, not in
Wow.
St. Louis, but Nashville. She
Oh.
said it's close enough, but not too close.
Growing up, I used to have a 3-hour rule with my mom when I went to visit. Like, we could only spend 3 hours or 3 days. So I could stay, but I had to stay in a hotel because it's like too much. But anyway,
Yeah.
thank you for
So
sharing.
That's Heather Nicole. Yeah. I think she has that 3 hour or 3 day rule too. And my son lives in New York, and in fact, he goes to Maharlika, and also he went to Jeepney, and he was eating arroz caldo, and he
Oh,
said, "Mom, I'm eating arroz caldo at Jeepney." Yeah. So
so nice.
he is also getting married in April next month. Yeah.
Congratulations.
So
Um, so let's get back to this book. How did you get to this title?
okay. This is a 10-year process. Heather says hi. Proud daughter here. Hello, Heather.
Oh,
So yeah. So yeah, I called up my brother. I said I want to have a cookbook, and he said, "Who are you to make a cookbook?" And I'm like startled and didn't have any answer at that time. So he suggested I write a blog, a food blog, and that's where Skip to Malou started. And then it went on and snowballed into a YouTube channel. And then all of a sudden, here in St. Louis, they call me Chef Malou because I also did Kamayan events here and stuff like that. But at that time, I was really bent on writing a book. And initially, I had titles like Cooking the American Dream and stuff like that. But I wanted it to be more personal. And I kind of realized that writing the book was cathartic for me as an immigrant. Because you were born and raised here, right, Nicole?
yes. That's
So,
right.
whereas for us, I mean, my husband and I, it was a decision to move here. And in the process, something is lost in between. Like when I go home to Tigigaraw or in Manila, people say, "You're so Americanized with the way you talk." But when I'm here, even if buying at Walgreens, I'm like, "Where are you from?" They ask me that here in St. Louis. So I am neither American nor Filipino. So the question is, where is home? And I had a difficulty in answering that. And if not only for my kids, because they have achieved so much here, and I'm grateful that America has given that opportunities to them. But I always tell them, in the process of that, something is lost with me. My husband went to school here, so he's assimilated and he's totally, working as a scientist and doing something. But when my kids were growing up, from Manila to New York to all the cities I've lived in, there was something lost. And the big question is, where is home? And so when I started writing that book, I just realized that, hey, home is where I'm at now. Home is, not necessarily where you are at physically, but it's just a feeling of being here with my kids and cooking their food. That is home. So that's what essentially the book is all about. It defines and charts, the pots. So it
Uh,
defines my home. And instead of connecting the dots, I called it connecting the pots. So
yeah, it sounds almost like home is where your kitchen is. It's where you can gather everyone, that you can express who you are, Filipino or American, but in the kitchen, you get to express your identity in whatever that is that words cannot describe, but you can taste it, you can feel it, and you can smell it, and um,
right.
authentic to you, because the way you cook is going to be very different than anyone else cooks. And hopefully, if you get this book, we'll get an idea of how you express yourself and can get a taste of Ibanag cuisine. So can you tell us a little bit, I think on time, if it's okay with you, I'll ask two more questions and we'll get to Dalena doing the ice cream demo.
Okay.
A little bit about what it is to be Ibanag and how would you classify the cuisine?
Okay, Ibanag are people from the north. It comes from the word banag, which is river. So we are actually the river people. And Ibanag is also our dialect. I would always say, Ibanag is like the cousin of Ilocanos, because we're from the north, and but our dialect is not Ilocano. I can't explain how it is, but my husband, who's from Manila, say that we are like, we sing song, there's an intonation to how we speak, and it's like a bird sometimes, like inafi, napapatu inafi, what I just said is the rice is hot, but that's Ibanag, napapatu inafi. So I speak the dialect very well, because that's what we used at home, and I grew up speaking
Yeah,
Ibanag. Yeah,
dialect.
and in fact, my dad speaks Ibanag, not Tagalog.
Mm.
So yeah. One time he was interviewed, because he was a politician when I was growing up, and it was in Tagalog, and he couldn't express himself because he would either speak Ibanag or English, but not Tagalog. So, and my husband, up to this day, whenever I say things and he asks me, "Is that an Ibanag word?" Because naturally, I just blurt it out naturally, especially when I'm mad.
Oh God, I love that. Okay, wait. So, okay, rapid fire questions. How many dialects do you speak?
I speak Ilocano, but not fluently.
Okay,
I speak Ibanag, and then I speak Tagalog. So,
okay.
and
And English.
I speak French and Spanish. I'm just kidding. No, I just took that in school, but not fluently. So
And we share a common friend, Kokoy, Chef Kokoy.
Chef Kokor is from Isabela, and in fact, Amy Besa, she invited me to cook at Purple Yam Malate in Manila, right? And Chef Kokoy, it was. Can I tell the story? It's short. Okay, so I was going back home, and that is when I was questioning where home is. And then suddenly on Philippine Airlines magazine, I read about Kokoy's life. that from San Francisco, he went home to Isabela. And I'm like, this guy is saying a message. So I stole the magazine away from the plane, going back. I was in the plane going Manila to Tuguegarao. So I stole it and put it back there. And then Amy Bessa messaged me that, hey, I see that you're in town. Would you like to, guest chef at Purple and Malate? And she posted it. And Kokoy, out of the blue, commented on it. And I said, this guy, his name sounds familiar. And I messaged him and we talked until 3 a.m. Like Kokoy and I were like, da 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 da. And then when I was cooking at Purple Yam, it was so sweet of him that he went foraging for spices and fruits and vegetables found in his orchard and
Yeah,
brought it to Manila and joined me. We cooked together at Purple Yam. So
wonderful person, very generous, and he is my introduction to the eastern part of Luzon, the northeast, and east of the Cordilleras, which we talked about in our pre-pro call. And to your point, Ibanag is different than Ilocano, but even though they speak Ilocano in the north and the east, it's very different than the Ilocano that I know of in the northwest, which is
right,
very staccato and very tuk 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 tuk, very hard consonants. And in the northeast, it is very sing song, very romantic. And I only bring this up for those who aren't familiar or beginning to know Philippine culture and regionality. Our country is so nuanced by province, by food, by dialect.
dialects.
And I think we're only beginning to know that more and more, that it's difficult to group us because we're really 7,000 islands and a reflection of that in its people, in its faces. But what we all value is family and food, and very competitive about this food. But, um,
True. Yeah.
But I want to thank you for your time. I think this might be a natural time for us to segue into Dalena making the ice cream. But
Yep.
one favorite recipe from the book, can you let us know what was your favorite recipe in this book?
My Yeah, I'm a home cook and I cook a lot for my kids. And my welcome home banner for them whenever they come home is spaghetti and chicken. Spaghetti and fried
Spaghetti.
chicken. Yeah.
Wow,
That's
dope.
on pot 5.
Okay,
And
top five.
yeah, so and that's my favorite combo or duo because that is when I realized that, hey, this is home, because my daughter coming from med school said, hey mom, I'll be home. And right away, zoom, I went to the grocery store and bought chicken, and I know where the where tomato sauce is in aisle 4. And then I practically know, the map of the market. And
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, I'm from here. This is my home. And
Oh,
then while cooking, simmering and romanticizing spaghetti sauce, I'm like, yes, this is home.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. Well,
So
you're lovely. I can't wait for more people to get to know you and your book. And if they want to catch you on YouTube, they would look skip to Malou on YouTube and find you and your dishes. Is that right?
right. So,
Right.
as much as possible, I try to stick to the traditional Filipino food on YouTube. There was a time I cooked empanada a la Ilocos region, right? And I did my twist on it, which I do
Oh,
on my events. And somebody said, "Can you please take down that Ilocos empanada because it is not Ilocos
I'm
empanada."
telling you, it's a brutal crowd. If you did a twist, you have to say not authentic. It's a twist,
It's
guys.
like, listening to my husband's grandma. We
Yeah.
call her Mommy Dory. She's from Bulacan, and
Hmm.
she cooks traditional food, right? So
Yeah.
whenever I cook something, like even as a regular gulay or vegetable dish, my husband would say, I wish you can cook like Mommy Dory. And I'm like, okay.
Wow. Well,
So
thank you so much. We're gonna switch over to Dalena. If anyone has any questions, hopefully we scheduled an hour and a half, so we have until 10:15, 10:30. So if you have any questions, please write it in the chat. We are happy to answer your questions. And thank you, Malou. We're now where's my glass of wine? Oh my God. So hey Dalena, are you ready for us? Are you gonna show us how to make ube ice cream?
I'm all ready. I'm just going to do a little bit of adjusting of the laptop angle, and I'm also using my cell phone to stream this on Instagram Live.
Oh, you got it fixed.
Yeah, to honor our intention at the beginning of the show. So I doubled up there. So yeah, I'm gonna make ube ice cream. I thought maybe I could just talk about it a little bit before I jump in, if that's okay.
Girl, do what you need to do.
So this is my take on ube ice cream. I don't know. I mean, to piggyback off of what you and Malou were just talking about, we have a tough crowd when it comes to our recipes, right? So this is Southern and Filipino all married together. So in the South, we do a ice cream base that does not have to be in an ice cream machine. That is just heavy whipping cream and condensed milk. And after you get that to the state you want it to be, you can do anything you want with it. You can add strawberries, you can add anything and make it that flavor. So basically, we're just taking that idea and we're going to be applying it to the ube ice cream recipe. So that's what we're going to be doing. So that's the overarching explanation, and then I can just get into it. There's going to be one moment where we probably are going to need to mute my mic. It's going to take a little bit of time to get this heavy whipping cream to the state that we need it to. You know all about that.
Yeah.
And so maybe during that time, maybe you can talk about your restaurants or your books.
Okay, I'll do that. That's
yeah,
cool.
all of your fun thing. I mean, you're very humble because on Instagram you promoted this, but you did not put your picture in the middle. And out of the three of us here, you've done more than anybody. So I just wanted to kick the door open for you to tell everybody more about yourself, because I know you are just, you're really just honoring the two of us right now, but you certainly deserve your own time as well. So maybe during that time is a good opportunity for that as well. So I'm going to start making ube ice cream. I'm going to flip my camera around on Instagram Live so everybody can watch there. And
What equipment do we need if we're going to make them?
what was the question? I'm sorry.
Do we need any special equipment if we're going to make ice cream at home?
You just need, really you don't. You need a bowl. You need a bowl and some really good elbow grease, but I'm going to take the lazy route and use my electric mixer.
That's it? Really?
Yeah, that's it. That's it, because it's no fuss. It's no fuss. So that's the whole point, is to make it easy, make it accessible. And let me tell you, when I figured out I could do this, it was just a dream to me, because when I went to the Philippines, I got kind of sick, like just the culture shock and the weather. I just didn't adjust, because that's just what happens. That happens to almost everybody. And I had my first scoop of ube ice cream, and it saved the entire trip. I lived off of ube ice cream for days. It's just all I ate for days. I thought I never tasted anything as delicious as ube ice cream. So now that I can make it and make it fast, or it doesn't take hours in an ice cream machine, to me, it's just a dream come true. So I'm so happy to be talking about this.
Hey, all right, let's do it.
Okay, I'm just gonna turn this a little bit, and Nicole, just feel free to let me know if I need to adjust anything, any other direction. But basically, I just have a big bowl here. It's been chilled a little bit. Because it's glass and I have a marble countertop, I put a towel underneath. What that's gonna do is gonna help me be able to move it around and not be so rickety on my counter. So we just have heavy whipping cream. We're just starting with heavy whipping cream. This is really important. If you end up using a low fat cream, it's not gonna whip it into a really good consistency. So you wanna make sure you use this. So all that's gonna happen right now is I'm gonna pour this cream in here, and I'm gonna whip it up. And then after that, there's no more electric mixer that's needed. So I'll be able to talk you through the rest of it. But who doesn't like to watch cream get whipped up into, I just love it. It's just like magic, I think, to watch whipping cream get whipped up into like a whipped cream. I will never get tired of watching it ever. So I'm going to turn my mixer on now if anybody wants to mute me so we don't, you know, blow the ears out of all of our viewers. So here I go.
Get her. See. Great. Okay. So I guess this is where I'm supposed to talk about myself. I don't really want to talk about myself. It's what can I tell you? But this was a real treat to talk to these two ladies, and we had a really great time in pre-pro. And I got to tell you, this is very different for me. When I was coming up back in the early 1900s, when I was coming up, people were actually really mean to me. I didn't have this kind of level of support or sharing of the stage, I guess is what you would call it. So I like this. This is a lot of fun, and it feels a lot better than to feel, I guess, bullied in a way. That was my experience when we first opened and we first came out. And I see all these new Filipino concepts and chefs coming up, and I get to see their experience be very different than my own. They are very unified, very supportive of one another. So it's a really nice, I guess, change of atmosphere. And I'm here in Miami. I recently moved here from New York. I still have my restaurant in New York, but I'm giving it a go here in Miami. And what I'm really doing is testing it out as an entrepreneur, testing a new market, testing operations. And it's very different for me. In the beginning, it was such a challenge just to get people to want to try Filipino food in the beginning, or, you know, to what we were saying, the Philippine market can be very tough because they want to see their region expressed. And if it's different, sometimes it's argued, is it good? Or if it's different, it's argued they don't know it and how authentic it is. I remember when we first did a different adobo, we did adobong dilaw, which is a turmeric adobo. And a lot of people were like, you know, this isn't really adobo, not knowing actually that there is as many adobos there are islands in the Philippines. And there's adobong dilaw, adobong pula, classic adobo. So there's really so many types. And being on this journey and realizing other regions and parts of the Philippines, we really get to see how diverse it is, really truly regional the food is. And it's a pleasure now, 15 years, 20 years later from my journey, to see that the food has been embraced by cultures other than our own, and seeing almost like the rolling down of the window for us to talk to one another about the differences in the cuisine and really have that open. So we had this comment, Maini, am I pronouncing your name right? I've been to Maharlika in NYC ages ago. There was a queue before it opened. Food was great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a blast. We had such a great time. We started off as a pop-up because I couldn't find any money and no one would really invest in us. And we now know, particularly in the United States, women and women of color don't get access to as much investment. And so I started off as a pop-up, which the word didn't even exist. We used to market it as a limited engagement. And I think it was Time Out New York that first called me a pop-up. And lo and behold, the era of the pop-up began. That kind of gets buried under the story of being a Filipino restaurant, but we really truly were one of the first pop-ups. And it's really great to see it being used as a channel for entrepreneurs to start their concepts. Dalena, are we allowed to come back to see you? I see that the mixer is done. That must mean the sound is good to come back to you, right? Are we good?
Yeah.
Great. Perfect timing. Okay.
Yeah, great. So I just want to show everybody, I mean, it's not a big deal to see cream get whipped into whipped cream, but again, I just think it's magic. I just love it, you know. We whip this until it soft peaks. That's kind of where you want to take it. A lot of people don't know, but if you keep going, it actually turns into butter. We're not looking for that. You know,
Does it stick if you flip it over?
Does the bowl stick?
Yeah, does the cream stick to the bowl if you flip it over?
It slides a little bit. It's soft peaks. So
Soft peaks, got it.
Yeah, soft peaks. Yeah, but if we do keep going, it'll turn into butter. We don't want that. We're going to let the freezer do the work to solidify it. What we're really doing is getting it to a state where it's soft and scoopable once the freezer has time with it, that, you know, after we put it in the freezer. So the next step is adding some sweetened condensed milk.
Yum.
Stuff all the time. Now, I just wanted to talk about this for a second because some people don't realize there's a difference between evaporated milk and sweetened condensed milk. A lot of people don't know they both start out as milk. And then to get evaporated milk, you evaporate 60% of the water out of it. And then to get to condensed milk, you add sugar to the evaporated milk. So they're two very different products. And when you use this, if you use evaporated milk, it's not going to work. You want to make sure you use the sweetened condensed milk because that's really going to provide sweetness to the ube as well that we're going to be adding in a little bit. So I'm just going to open this up and pour this in right now.
So far, these are ingredients anyone can find.
Absolutely. And that's why this recipe, you know, in the South, like, for instance, I was telling you, you know, when we spoke before, when I grew up, we had to drive 2.5 hours to get a 20-pound bag of rice. Like, we did our shopping at the grocery store, which was Kroger and Walmart. And, you know, they're not, in 1980 in the South, there's not going to be a high demand for 20-pound bags of rice. Why would they carry that, right? So a lot of my recipes are created using ingredients that anybody can buy anywhere, you know? And that's really one of the things that I have a big heart for, is saying, you know, even if you can't get to an Asian market or a Filipino grocery store, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy Filipino food. If we're open to making a couple of substitutions, you can still have a really good Filipino experience like we're doing right now with ube ice cream. So Nicole, I just realized I told a bit of a fib. I do have to blend this in with the mixer, so I'm going to have to go on mute one more time. And then after that, we'll talk about the ube ingredients and everything else that we're going to do to finish the process, if that's okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we're going to go on mute again?
Yeah, we're going to go on mute one more time just for me to get this blended in. And then I'll give you a thumbs up and we can come back. Does that work?
Yeah, that's good for me. Mia, are you around? Maybe we can get Malou back on screen if she isn't. There she is. Where's your wine? All right, we're gonna keep an eye on Dalena. There's the wine. Cheers, girl. Thank you. Cheers. All right. So while Dalena is using her electric mixer, we're gonna cheese. And she's going to give us a thumbs up when we're going back to her.
Okay.
So what's the chismes? What's going on in your part of town?
Okay. Dalena was saying about you know, traveling 2.5 hours, just getting rice, and these are the things that we do as immigrants just to cook, you know, what will take us back home. And that is what I did with my kids. I moved my kids here. My youngest was only what, I think 7.5. Isabel was at 8.5 or 9 or 10, and my daughter was I think 11. And so the reason why I cook Filipino food is for them to know their roots, and day in and day out we eat that, right? So one time my son's playmates were coming unannounced, and we were eating dinuguan, right?
Oh gosh, here we
So
go.
ding dong came the doorbell,
Oh,
and
Dalena, she's ready.
okay.
Dalena, are we allowed? Can she finish her story, or that mess up your recipe?
It won't mess up the recipe at all. I'm enjoying the story. I want to hear it.
Okay. So we were eating, right? So there was a bowl of dinuguan on the table, and then my husband and I went to the door, opened the door, and lo and behold, Thomas was there, the neighbor. And then when we came back, we were like, where is the dinuguan? And we were looking and looking for it while my son and his friends are already playing in the playroom. And all of a sudden, it's down there on the floor because he said, I just don't want to see them that we're eating different food.
Oh gosh. Bless
Yeah.
his bless
So
his heart.
yeah, that's when I started cooking fried chicken and stuff like that. Yeah. So
Well, thankfully, we continue to cook. We have this wonderful cookbook, and the dinigo on the floor did not dissuade you from moving forward. And does he eat dinigo on
it's not his favorite, I would say. It's not his
real?
favorite. Yeah.
Real. Thank you. All right, we're gonna come back to it and to say goodbye, but we're gonna head back to Dalena. She's gonna show us how to finish off this
Okay.
Southern style.
Go.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Let me just flip my camera around one more time. I'm getting like people, they're interested on Instagram Live. So this is really great that we've got a kind of a double viewership here going on. That's really great. So let's talk about ube, because that's really the only thing we have left to add, right? So I don't know if I didn't know this. I learned this when I developed a love relationship with ube. So there's over 6,500 different varieties of sweet potato. Who knew that? Like, I would have never known. And so you can make this recipe using an actual ube potato, but sometimes that's difficult to find. And I did want to point one thing out, because there are ube, just because you find a purple sweet potato does not mean that that's an ube. So like,
and please, people need to understand, not all purple yams are ube.
that's right. And Nicole, you're going to appreciate this because I brought an example for you. So this is a purple sweet potato, right? So this is a purple, it has a purple skin by all measure. You would think that this would work because that's what we know ube to be. But if we cut it open, it's actually white on the inside. And that's because this is a Japanese Okinawan sweet potato. So like I said, there's over 6,500 varieties of sweet potatoes. There's only one ube. So you can't just substitute any purple potato and think that you're going to get the same result. Ube is a very specific breed of sweet potato. And there's only that's most important to this right now. Honey, your doggies want in on it. They know, once you know, baby. They want in it.
Yes. So you were able to find ube where you were?
So last night I actually ran into one of those things that we do, all of us do as cooks. You know, we think we're going to go about a recipe, we're going to be able to find what we need, and then something happens. The grocery store doesn't have it, or it's closed, or something happens, right? So last night I went to the grocery store, 3 different Asian markets. I always find ube, fresh ube. And what I do is I steam them in my rice cooker, and then they cool down. I pull the skins off them very easily, mash them with a fork, add a little sugar, brown sugar, whatever, you know, make it super smooth, fold it in. Wasn't available. So let's talk about what we can do if we can't get ube potatoes, because not all of us live in a place where we can. And especially in the South where I'm from, I'm thinking about all my friends and family out there that want to try a Filipino recipe. Well, you can do a couple of things. So you can order online on Amazon. And I found this in the grocery store, but it is available online, and you can have it shipped directly to your door. They have something called purple yam, and this is ube. This is purple yams. So they just put a generic name on the cover, but it's dehydrated ubes that have been ground up into a fine milled powder. So, and the only ingredients in here is ube. So this is pure dehydrated ube powder.
Thing you could use it, really?
You can use this, and also make ube flavor. And everybody's like, well, what is ube flavor? Just think about vanilla extract. Don't we add a little bump of flavor whenever we make a cake or something like that? It's the same idea. Any of your extracts, and if you're at the Asian market, You'll find this where the extracts are. You would think that you would find this where all the packaged seasonings and things are, but you won't, because this isn't a seasoning. It's an ingredient. So this is going to be over where, well, in this particular store, they actually had it over by the noodles, which I found very interesting that they put it there. But that's where they had it.
Wow, wild.
I know. I learned so much just in the past 24 hours about how to fix this problem of finding fresh ube that I couldn't find. So
not for nothing though, good on you for having the problem, because a lot of people are going to run into it. So your problem has become everyone else's solution. So
thank you for saying that. I really hope so. I hope this opens the doors for more people to try it, because ube ice cream is really, it's so indicative of our culture. And like you said, the halo halo, and it's really special for me. You know, we're talking about food connections today. So like I said, I was able to enjoy my vacation in the Philippines just because of ube ice cream. It set me on the right track to go forward and eat other things, because it just soothed everything. Yeah. I'm going to tilt my camera just a little bit, because we want to see the color change, because that's like the fun part, you know. I'm just going to tilt this. What'd you say, Nicole? Did I miss something?
Money shot.
What's that?
That's the money shot.
That's the money shot, baby. That's the money shot. So here it is, the ube powder. And you know how we roll. We don't really measure. I'm gonna say maybe a tablespoon. I don't know. You tell me, Miss Professional Restaurant Cookbook, something. What do you think that is? About a half a quarter? Okay. And this is ube flavoring. We're just gonna put in a good drunker's splash. Just a good healthy splash, maybe 1, 2, and then we're gonna mix it. At this point, you don't have to use your electric mixer, because we just don't need to. Plus, I really like to mix this in a way that leaves the color a bit swirly, because you don't compromise any of the flavor, but it's such a fun visual for it to be kind of tie-dyed like that. And already as I'm doing this, the ube flavor, the scent of it, I can smell it, and it just smells exactly, I mean, it smells legit, you know? It just smells legit.
The way I describe ube is, I always say it's a cross between vanilla and pistachio.
Oh, that's such a great description. I'm totally gonna rip that off of you. Like, I'm gonna start saying that too, because I've been struggling as people have been asking me about this presentation. I'm like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't know. It's kind of nutty. It's a little bit floral. It's rich, but it's also kind of sweet. So really, after you fold that in, you're done. You just put this in a dish, and then you put it in the freezer. But I want to stress again that this is a base, you know, so this is an ice cream base. So you can fold in things at this point before you freeze it. Like, this is toasted marshmallows you can put in there. If you love the combination of ube and mango, which a lot of us do, you can fold that in there and then freeze it. And if not, you can freeze it just as it is and then take it out and use toppings. If not, that's fine too. So let me get a finished product out of my freezer so you can see. Just a second.
This is amazing. I think all told, maybe it was 20 minutes tops to make this recipe.
Totally, just one bowl and an electric mixer, or like I said, elbow grease and a whisk. You can get the whipping cream is everywhere. The condensed milk is everywhere. Get the powder off of online, have it delivered straight to your door, and now you're really enjoying one of the best desserts ever in the Philippines. Like, it's a real thing. I don't think people understand like how important ube is to the Filipino culture. But so this is just the frozen finished product. It has a really good color on it. And I just freeze it in a dish like this. So I'm just gonna scoop some out and put it in the bowl. And then we'll throw some toppings on it and then do a bit of a little presentation. But it scoops really well, just like ice cream from the store. See?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really good result. It's, sometimes you hear about these homemade, shortcut recipes, and then it doesn't behave. It doesn't act the way it's supposed to act. It don't act right, you know. But
Wow.
ube ice cream recipe, it does. It's really
Legit.
a beautiful result. Yeah, it's legit.
Favorite ice cream growing up, aside from Thrifty's blueberry pie.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
pretty classic too. But I used to love ube and macapuno. That was my favorite ice cream with nuggets of macapuno. Wow, I really.
Oh my gosh, preach. I love some macapuno now. Throw it on there. Give it to me, So in a leaf and flowers for presentation.
Delightful.
Yeah.
So sweet. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
So how can people find you on Instagram or you're on the YouTube? How can they find you?
So on Instagram, I'm Dalena 1818 1818 DALENA 1818.
Okay.
Then on Facebook, I'm Dalena Benavente. There aren't a lot of Delenas, so when you type my name in, I usually pop up.
Okay.
And then my book is on Amazon. It's also on barnesandnoble.com, marthastewart.com, walmart.com. Most of the major online bookstores, it's available.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get Mia, are you there? Can we get Malou back in to say our goodbye? There she is. Okay. So at the top of this hour and a half show, we found out the quote of Tita Linda of why she created Philippine Expressions, which was from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the quote was, "Do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail."
Yeah.
So I think both of you have done that. All of us have done that collectively, individually. We've done it. Three of us from such different walks of life, but we have together the experience of being Filipino and our food memories. And it was wonderful meeting you. And you guys have a lot of fans. There's a lot of people shouting you out on the sidebar here.
My daughter said snaps to Nicole for being such a gracious host.
Oh,
That's from my daughter, Nicole. She's a fan.
thank you. Okay, well, we're gonna wind this down. I feel like if I had a glass of wine, we could go another hour and a half as well. Next time we're gonna have to together. Please, I hope if we ever find ourselves in the same city that we'll go get something to eat. Filipino
I know.
food, and you've shared your love with all of us. Do you want to say goodbye to your fans? Please do.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I am so touched that you are watching, guys. Thank you so much. I love your notes, your messages. I was trying to answer them, but thank you, everyone, from Quezon City to Tuguegarao. My mom's caregiver keeps on sending my mom watching.
Oh,
She started on her iPad and she can't hear it, so they put it on big screen so she could watch
oh,
it.
yeah.
My father-in-law from Las Vegas is watching, my sister in Orlando, and my friends here in St. Louis. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Tita Linda, for doing this. Our books are also available on philippineexpressions.com. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Malou and Dalena.
And thank you, Nicole and Dalena.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. Everybody that's watched virtually, thank you so much for letting us be a part of your Friday night or Saturday morning, depending on where you are. And Tita Linda, Filipino Expressions Bookshop in LA. And Mia, thank you, everybody. It's so great meeting Malou, and of course you too, Nicole. It's such a just a great experience. I've heard about you for so long, and just to be a part of this and for you to be included, it's just, this is really special. So thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Maraming salamat at magandang umaga or magandang gabi, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. Filipino food is an expression of love. It is a love language. And as we see here, all roads lead to home and our kitchen. So hope to see you soon. Thank you for having me. And we'll eat together soon. Thanks. Bye.
Maraming salamat. Thank you to our authors of Filipino Food Connections, Pinay Gathering. I invite all of you to purchase their books through Philippine Expressions Bookshop by visiting our online bookshop, www.philippinebookshop.com. Also make an appointment if you would like to visit our Filipiniana treasure trove in San Pedro. Our email is info@philippinebookshop.com. Please consider supporting our small business and also support our Filipino authors. Thank you once again. Salamat, good night, at magandang gabi.